Hi, Susan.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Lovely to see you again. We've met a few
Great.
times.
We have. Nice to see you.
So, you call yourself a body alignment specialist. Many of our members will already be familiar with you if they've watched your conversation with Steve or any of the monthly Facebook posts that you get scheduled to the page as part of listing plan. But for those who haven't, I thought it might be a good idea in the first instance for you just to give a very brief summary of your background and what you do.
Yeah, sure. So I've been into health and fitness I've lectured in every sort of discipline there is there. So that's where I get all the skills from, being able to work out what people should be doing and shouldn't be doing. I've also a clinical massage therapist, and I also sometimes use my ultrasound on patients. But what I've been finding lately is that it is actually about the analysis of what is wrong with the patient and why they've got it that is absolutely crucial. So it's an integrated system which I use. So once I find out the probable cause, that then means that I can come up with the correct treatments. And when I say treatments, it's self-help treatments. So it doesn't mean that somebody has to come and see me. So I've devised treatments whereby the patient can do it themselves, which is also why it works quicker than other normal treatments that are out there.
Okay. Well, so you've successfully treated my mother, my nephew, you're treating my son. So I know how your face-to-face consultations work. You also offer an online service as well for those who don't live close enough to travel to see you. So I thought it would be a good idea to have a chat about how this works so that anyone can benefit from your expertise. So how long does an online session normally last?
This is where I won't really give a time. The reason I won't give a time is that the whole thing about what I do is about working out what's wrong with somebody. So if it takes me an hour to work out what I think the probable cause is, it takes me an hour. If it takes me an hour and a half, it takes me an hour and a half. That's it. So I don't have a time limit on it. I would generally say to somebody for the first consultation that anything from an hour and a half, I have been known to do 2. Not often, but it can be 2. The second and third one are usually not as long because we've got the main things in the first one. But it depends, because if maybe perhaps I'm not getting the results that I want as quick, so I'm talking about really quick results by the second one, then I sort of start delving a little more as, you know, could it be something else? So it would be unfair to say that I have a time, because also what I don't do is I don't give exercises off a computer. I'll devise them as I'm doing a consultation and an analysis of the patient. I devise them as we go. And then I'll also maybe, if I showed you to do an exercise and I think, no, that's not quite working, I will then strip that exercise back down further, possibly to a lower level, or I might change it completely.
Okay. So the process of an online consultation starts much the same as a face-to-face in that you send a screening form for your customer to complete. Now, what I can do is I can share my screen so that people can get an idea of what it looks like. Here we go. So this is the form that you sent me. It's 10 pages. So that's my contact details here. And then you just ask people to tick the areas where they're experiencing tension, stiffness, pain, or discomfort. So you tick those. And the level of discomfort on a scale of 1 to 10. So this is my one. I have got a sore neck, shoulder, and hip. And then it just details on when it started. So it's basically just a resume of where you're at. And that will give you an overview of the client's concern. Okay, so you'll get that, and then that will give you an assessment, and then you'll arrange a time and you'll come on and you will start consulting.
Basically the form is a formality, but the real analysis starts when you're actually talking to somebody. if I'm doing it online with somebody, it doesn't follow anything different to what I would with somebody here. What I do ask the people, if they're doing it online, it's very handy to have a helper, because the helper can be videoing the person when I say, right, that's going to be their exercise. So they can write it down as well. And it might be that I want to test somebody. I might want to do some sort of muscle activation test on somebody to check the strength of, say I want to check the strength muscle in the back of the body. I can get the helper to do it. And I've done that really successfully. So a helper is very helpful, but if we can't get one, it's not the end of the world, but it is helpful. Yeah.
Well, earlier, before we started this conversation, we had a quick chat about my health, my issues, and it was very simple. Yeah. You diagnosed the problem almost straight away by asking me to carry out a range of movements.
Yeah.
Which is hypermobility I've got. And on the back of that, you have given me a couple of exercises to do, which we tested, and were very simple. So what's it? Massage?
Well, you were doing release, stretch, and align.
Release, stretch. So that basically involves...
You're releasing a muscle. So if I was working with you on a one-to-one, I may do that, but I don't actually have to touch some of this, which is great because it means we can do more work with people.
Yeah.
So release, stretch, and align is a protocol that I developed many years ago, and I apply it to anything. So it's about working out what the problem is, which is actually the ACE protocol. That is analysis, correction, and education to stop reoccurrence. And then I use the treatment, the RSA treatment, which is release, stretch, and align. And that's the integrated system. That's using different techniques to correct and stop the occurrence of a problem. And that's what I was showing you earlier on. Yeah.
So it did work almost immediately. I felt a noticeable difference. So the release, and then the stretch, and then after that,
an alignment. And we also checked the range of movement, because at one point you were sort of overstretching, and that's why it's so important that you get it right. Because if we give somebody the wrong intensity, we don't want people to hurt themselves, and it's very important that you get the right intensity. And that's, I would say, is one of many of the problems that's out there with the generic treatments that are knocking around, and we're also not addressing why they've got it. So we've got to address why you have the tension, so we can release it. We've got to address why have you got the tightness, but then we've got to work out, well, how do we stop it happening again? Yeah. And that's, the levels have to be precise for the person that you're working with.
So your service is very, very precisely tailored to exactly what your client needs.
It is. You have to keep some sort of control and accountability for the client or whatever.
Yeah. Make sure they're doing it correctly.
Which is why I tend to do 3 sessions, 2 weeks between each one, because one, I can analyze what's going on. The second one, I pick up on anything that's not happening, so I can correct it and make sure I've got it right. And the third one is when I want them to come back and say, it's gone. I get people with desiccated discs. That's damage. Yeah. Then we would maybe change and say, right, okay, generally, if what I'm doing doesn't work in 3 sessions, we can quite confidently say there is some damage there. Then it's a different approach. Then you start to use more stabilization exercises specific to damage and not correction. But it's all achievable.
Good. Okay, so, well, that's summarised this first meeting, and then I'm going to go and do my exercises and see how I get on, and then I can get back in touch with you and see how I've progressed. But I'm feeling very optimistic because I already feel the tension is released in this part of the body. Okay, well, that's been very helpful, and I hope it's demonstrated to our members how straightforward the process is, and we'll encourage some of them to contact you for help with any of their health concerns. So
that'd be great. The more people we can help, the better.
Yes. Thank you so much for your time today.
Okay, right. Okay, bye.